Imagine walking into a room full of people who love you, yet feeling completely alone. You smile, you laugh, and you play the part perfectly. But inside, a quiet voice tells you that nobody truly knows you. You constantly anticipate the moment they will leave, so you protect yourself by staying detached. Have you ever wondered why genuine intimacy feels so terrifying to you? The root of this fear might not actually be your own. It often traces back to the hidden emotional climate of the 1970s. Picture an ordinary neighborhood back in 1976. The culture of this era celebrated a brand new kind of independence. Parents were encouraged to let their children figure life out entirely on their own. There were no helicopter parents, no constant texts, and no digital tracking. Kids vanished into the neighborhood for 12 hours straight, completely unsupervised. Society called this a golden age of childhood freedom and adventurous grit. But beneath the carefree surface, a very different psychological reality was quietly unfolding. This historical shift created a deeply confusing environment for a developing child. True freedom requires a safe, emotional harbor to return to when things go wrong. For millions of children in this era, that vital emotional harbor simply did not exist. When they felt terrified, overwhelmed, or deeply sad, they were told to just tough it out. They learned very quickly that their deepest emotions were an inconvenience to the adults around them. To survive, they made a silent, unconscious pact with themselves to never need anyone else. Psychology shows us that children adapt to their environment in order to feel safe. In the 70s, safety meant becoming an invisible, self-sufficient island. If you never ask for comfort, you can never be disappointed by its absence. This functional coping mechanism worked brilliantly for surviving a hands-off childhood. However, coping mechanisms designed for childhood survival become emotional cages in adult relationships. These children learned to completely disconnect their outer actions from their inner feelings. Take a moment to pause and let that sink in. As these children grew into adults, they carried this silent armor directly into parenthood. They desperately wanted to do a better job than their own parents had done. They made sure their homes were safe, stable, and filled with material comforts. They showed up to every school play and ensured every physical need was met. Yet, an invisible, cold barrier remained firmly intact just beneath the surface. They could provide physical presence, but emotional vulnerability felt like staring into a dangerous abyss. Consider how this looks in an everyday household. Think of a parent who manages every household crisis with perfect, icy efficiency. But the moment you express deep sadness or anxiety, they suddenly freeze up. They might abruptly change the subject, crack a joke, or walk out of the room. Alternatively, they might try to instantly fix the practical problem while completely ignoring your pain. They are not acting this way because they lack love for you. They behave this way because your intense emotions trigger their own deeply buried, unprocessed loneliness. Now, let us reveal the profound twist that shapes your daily life. You might think you are entirely different from your distant, hyper-independent parents. But look closely at how you handle your own romantic relationships and close friendships today. When someone attempts to get genuinely close to you, do you suddenly feel suffocated? When you are hurting, do you isolate yourself instead of reaching out to those who care? You're living out the exact psychological blueprint that was forged decades before you were born. You did not choose this specific flavor of anxiety or this intense hyperindependence. You simply absorbed the unspoken rules of a generation taught to survive in total silence. You became an expert overthinker because relying on your environment never felt safe. Your fear of intimacy is actually an inherited echo of their survival mode. You are working hard to heal an emotional wound that you did not even inflict. Take another slow, deep breath and reflect on your worth. The emotional distance you experienced growing up was never a reflection of your value. It was the only output possible from a system that ran on emotional starvation. Your parents survived a harsh world by locking their truest selves away in the dark. You do not have to keep that ancient, heavy vault locked down anymore. The generational cycle loses its power the moment you choose to voice your hidden pain. You are allowed to need people, and you are allowed to be seen.